We will now move to item 11, public participation. I'm sorry, I should have asked you when you're ready. Don't you have to read your thing? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the public participation portion of the meeting. As a brief reminder, time limits for all speakers will be adhered to. There will be no sharing or granting of speaking time to others. Speakers must be present when their name is called. All speakers are required to give names and addresses. The public participation portion of the meeting is limited to 1 hour and 30 minutes. Examples of unacceptable behavior that will not be permitted include, but are not limited to, naming district employees and engaging in personal attacks, slurs, excessive loudness, calling out, yelling, generally disruptive behavior, attempting to disrupt the meeting, or inciting others to do so. Public participation at board meetings is intended to allow individual members of the public the opportunity to address the board and administration on issues of public concern, not as a forum for two-way dialogue with the board members. The superintendent's designee or the board chair may respond to questions either at the end of the public participation session, or responses may be forthcoming at a later time. The superintendent's designee or Madam Chair may interrupt any speaker or terminate any individual's speaking privilege if the speaker's comments are disruptive or obscene. An individual may be cautioned that a personally directed statement may be slanderous or defaming, and the individual may be liable for his or her comments. Attempts to hijack or filibuster the proceedings, repeated interrupting or badgering the chair or officials, repetitive and truculent speech, or other disregard of the rules of decorum will not be tolerated and may subject the individual group to removal. If necessary, the meeting may be adjourned.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Lucius Jones. Good evening, Mr. Jones. Before you start, I would just like to let you know that you are the man of the hour, that before you came in this evening, when I spoke earlier, that I did recognize you for the work that you did during Hurricane Sandy, and we just want to take a minute now that you are here. And this was basically in light of the fact that you are an unsung hero, and I was very happy when I opened the paper on November 11th and I saw that you received some of the credit that you are due for the outstanding work that you do in our community.
I'd like to thank the community and the board for the applause, and you know that accolades I really deal well with. I just say that, you know, a lot of the work and support at the Warming Center, my wife really worked hard. My 13-year-old was ducking me in the hallway because she didn't want to put out another flyer because he was just burnt out. The key here is that is serving the public is what we need as a community. And I like to thank, I mean, it's also important for me to thank the city of Newark. The city of Newark, the Newark Public Schools, the municipal, the police department for coming together. You know, there are officers and firemen who lost their lives, and that is a accolade that exceeds the work that I had to do with other folks in the community. I also like to recognize the Newark Public Schools staff. I think whatever Cammie was doing that week, she was making some of the right decisions, and I think that she was doing that because of the team that she had in place that was giving her good feedback from the street. To open up the centers where we fed 1,600 people a day out of Speedway Avenue School, 1,600 seniors a day. That's a lot of sandwiches. I mean, a lot of bread, a lot. People were really digging in to support the community. It took energy and it took imagination from this school district to say, instead of letting thousands and thousands of tons of food go to waste, feed people. And I remember going to 1 Court Street and 1 8th Street, and seeing those folks really, really appreciating those meals. So again, I thank you. There's a lot more work to be done. I also had to return home to these dark homes, and my wife, I didn't realize the impact on the checking account until she showed me about 3 weeks ago. But I love what I do. Getting back to the nature at hand and what I actually do, so we can ceremony and all that's nice, but I like to really talk about the point that concerns me when we talk about the new schools and renewed schools. Some of the things that concern me is the fact that we're still talking about, when we talk about, what is it called? When we talk about staff development, and they said we're still trying to figure it out. That's a problem. If we renewed the school, then we need to have a plan on how we're going to develop the people in these renewed schools. And those models should be implemented as best practices around the city. A concern came to me because I had a young lady who was suspended from a school, and she came from North Star, either North Star Academy, and she came to one of the schools. I'm not going to say the school, but she was suspended for 3 days, and it was nonsense. And I said, we have to provide more intervention to kids. Then I look at another student, I'm not going to say the name, but the student, we put together an after-school program, and the student is 249, 248 on the New Jersey AS test. Well, she was told that she shouldn't come to the after-school program because her score is too high. See, these are the type of things that really, really concern me when you fight to get these programs into these schools, and it should be moving kids that have not met advanced proficient, because that should be the goal of the district. The goal is to move every single student to advanced proficient, making sure that the interventions and the resources, I say this to my principal all the time at Ivy. We have 2 guidance counselors, and we have one social worker. The cost of the social aspects of the school runs about $250,000 a year just for social workers and guidance counselors. That means that they're getting paid good money. They have to do the job. That's what it's all about. We understand that educators need to be educators, and they need to be in the classroom. They need to be monitoring what teachers are doing. But there's a social aspect of it that this district has invested in. So all I'm going to say to the board is that we have to really, really make sure that the resources and the technologies and all of the interventions we can come up with are really, really making it to the classroom. I tell my principal all the time, we're blue ribbon bound at Ivy Hill. But I said, if no one from the district level inspect what we expect, it ain't going to be no blue ribbon. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and God bless you, and have a happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Our next speaker, Nickerson Jean Renoir.
My name is Jamarius Nickerson Jean-Renoir. I reside at 146 Riverside Villa. I am a resident of the city of Newark, New Jersey, North Ward. I come here today again to speak on behalf. Last week I was at the business meeting, and I spoke on behalf of a personal issue that addresses many educators that are in the city that work in the city of Newark, and that is none other than the Newark Public Schools new contract. Some people would argue and declare that, the educators' contract is a private issue. You should not be discussing it. You have no place to discuss it at a public meeting. And I say to you that you are incorrect. At a public meeting, we are to discuss everything regarding the Newark Public Schools that will have a direct effect on the most important stakeholders, which are the students. And I bring your attention back to the fact that when you came and you printed a little article in the paper, the Newark Public Schools, rather as a body, printed an article in the paper and said, we now are the first city in the nation to endorse merit pay, and we've done well. I say to you, please, who are you speaking to? Because I am not a dummy. I'm a nation builder. I'm an educator. I'm a product of the city of Newark. And I tell you that you are lying to us, because I'm telling you that merit pay was a system designed not to create competition. It was a system designed to achieve results. And it was not, and the system, the way that you have instituted merit pay, you're saying we're now going to hold the teachers accountable for students who have socioeconomic problems, who have the single-parent homes, you know, who have poor support services in their schools. You're now going to hold me as an educator responsible for that student to score well. And if he doesn't, I don't get paid. I don't get my raise. That is a problem. I'm telling you that is regressive in its highest form, because I'm telling you that if you're going to institute merit pay and you're going to go to the newspaper and the media and say, we've done something very heroic, then you need to try to focus on rewarding the teacher for the achievements that she do accomplish and the achievements that the students are making outside of the classroom. Where are you? Why are you using standardized test scores which are made by people who never taught in a classroom, could never execute behavioral classroom management, yet you're using their tests to tell me how to run my classroom or whether I'm going to get a raise? I remind you, I am a certified trained professional. I did not sign up for you to tell me how my students are going to achieve and what standard you're going to use. Because I'm a teacher in my classroom, I don't use tests to measure how my students perform. I'm trained and certified to measure them in other ways. And I can do that legally. And so I'm saying to you, stop going to the media promoting merit pay as if you've done something great, because you haven't. You did a disservice to our community. You did
Thank
a
you,
disservice
sir.
to our students.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker, Wilhelmina Holder. Next speaker, Lyndon Brown.
Good evening. Lyndon
Good
Brown,
evening.
220 South 6th Street, Newark. Unfortunately, Superintendent Anson is not here tonight, but I'm going to raise these concerns because they've been raised to me. After reviewing tonight's board minutes and attending last Tuesday's business meeting, I too have to speak on the autonomy that have been given to our administrators and the merit pay for teachers. They're bound to cause a lot of dissension in the district. When I look at the increasing numbers of staff suspensions, tonight's board minutes at Park Elementary School, and the mass exodus of teachers from 13th Avenue School via resignations, transfers, and retirements, I'm truly concerned. The renewed school report tonight was truly misleading. Great school leaders at each renewed school are not evident. The merging of two failing schools have resulted in at least 10 staff vacancies at 13th Avenue School. Majority of them are teachers. Under Title I, parents are to be notified when there is a substitute or not a highly qualified teacher in the classroom after 20 days. This has not happened. I've had numerous parents call me and approach me saying that they did not know that the person in their child's classroom was a recent college graduate who had no classroom experience but had been there since the first day of school and had not given homework in some instances. This is a major, major problem in a lot of our renewed schools. Family and community engagement is not occurring, especially in the area of PTAs and school leadership councils. Some have yet to meet or even hold elections this school year. There's major fighting, bullying, attendance issues, especially lateness in a lot of our renewed schools because of the great distance that many of them have to travel because a lot of them don't get bus tickets or parents don't drive. Social and emotional learning supports not evident, and those that are reported are truly not effective. Even at 13th Avenue, we have 150 students who are able to attend after-school programs, yet you have 1,000 students on roll. Where are the other 1,000 students supposed to go after school when the Boys and Girls Club is closed and there's no other recreation in that community? Professional development is needed with the enhanced technology for support staff, including teacher assistants. Professional development is also needed in implementing differentiated instruction and inclusion, which was cited by many CAPA visits throughout the district, and yet we see little evidence in that area. Extended learning time needs to be structured and monitored. I know that some of the renewed schools have yet to start their extended learning time, but we do hope that those times will be structured and will be monitored. And we hope also that the special needs populations will benefit from this initiative. Just at 13th Avenue School alone, we have 40% of the students who have special needs, and majority of those students ride the bus. I want to make sure that they have the accommodations to stay after school and take part in the extended learning day as well. Implementation and alignment of core curriculum content standards and special needs support services also need to be reviewed. IEP mandates are not being adhered to in many of our schools. Some of our students are supposed to have personal or shared aids, and they do not have them, and they're struggling academically. Report cards are going to be issued on November 29th, and I do believe that majority of our students will not be doing well because of the lack of support services in a lot of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next speaker, Janice Reedus. Next speaker, Iman Brown. Next speaker, Donald Jackson.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair,
Good
board
evening.
members. Donald Jackson, 79 Tracy Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, 07108. Want to first start off by saying, glad to see everyone. Glad to see that we made it through Superstorm Sandy, the storm that impacted our lives greatly, and something this area hasn't seen in a lot of our lifetimes. And this just goes to show, I don't know if anybody is religious or believes in divine intervention, it just goes to show that we are not untouchable. Before I begin, well, as I begin, I want to send a message to board members. We need to stop our political admirations for elected office and trying to seek higher roles in government, and we need to first take care of the task at hand, and that's helping the children in Newark Public Schools, okay? A board member who has been absent a lot from this board to resign, to be sworn in, and to be nominated as a city council member in the city of Newark. That's very disturbing and hilarious. But nonetheless, I'm going to get moving on. I wanted to talk about, for a brief second, the charter schools. I don't know who approves the charter schools. I don't know if that's from the state, but I'll get better clarification on that. And the fact that these schools are located downtown Newark, and there's a lot of schools popping up downtown Newark, and they are coming up in pockets and sections. And it's becoming a very hazardous condition for parents who drop their children off in the morning on Central Avenue, and they take up a city traffic lane, causing traffic backups. Children who unfortunately cross the street, they have a tendency to not look both ways. And I see it being very dangerous for our children. This seems to be the norm for our children to walk through traffic of thousands and thousands of cars driving by each hour. Second question, where's the superintendent? Where's Miss Cammie Anderson? For this to be the first school board meeting after Superstorm Sandy, she's not here. I find this a little appalling. And this further lets me know that we need a new superintendent. You had a teacher just come up and talk about the contract and how now we have definitely destroyed the morale, if it was any left in any school dealing with teachers. This school board, this district, constantly portrays this image as if it's trying to save the students. You guys need to wake up and face reality. We're hurting students, not saving lives, we're hurting them. You're now pushing the teachers back up against the wall until they're saying, look, I'm through. You have a mass exodus of teachers. This is what is caused from this reform. This is what has caused, okay? It has caused the schools to hurt. It has caused the community to hurt. It has caused teachers to leave. I know my time is up. I thought I had some more time, but
Thank you, Mr.
next
Jackson.
meeting is a new meeting.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Veronica Williams. Next speaker, Donna Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. Donna Jackson,
Good
One
evening.
to Waste Mystery. Well, Miss Anderson isn't here because she's in D.C. Board members, Miss Anderson's resignation is effective March 1st, 2013. I want to know why you're going to wait. I was in the dinner in the restaurant in New York last week, and the replacement man came up to me and spoke to me, gave me his card. She's out of here. I want to know if you're going to sit there and allow her to just walk away. She has caused destruction. I do not for a minute think that that teacher contract passed. Do not believe it. Too bad the teachers don't have the heart in Newark to fight like they did in Chicago. I'm angry about that, very. Because when they walked out, we should have walked out. Joe Del Grasso sold us down the river, we should have showed Joe. But we didn't, so bad on us again. We handled the storm at Newark Public Schools impeccably. First time I'm able to give you guys an A. Wow. Probably ain't gonna never happen again, but let's take the A while we can get it. In terms of staff leaving, staff being suspended, the chaos that is in this district right now, I don't know what you're gonna do, and I guess we don't care. The fights at Westside High School continue. Nothing is being done. Nothing is being done. The day I gotta get out there, as I have been after school, and get in the middle of a fight because staff is standing in front of the school building, I wanna know when y'all gonna do something about that. Young lady pulled the knife on another young lady. You just lost a kid at Barringer. How many more incidents before you guys hold staff fully accountable at Westside High School? Please don't let nothing happen to my mother, because it won't be no school there no more. Please don't. The fight's inside the building, and that's not a threat, that's just what's gonna happen. Because if I'm taking care of kids outside where I don't have to worry about my mother, if something happens to her inside that building, it's gonna be a major problem for everybody sitting before me. Because you guys know there's issues at these schools and you're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. Talking is cheap. It's time for action, time for press conferences, time to remove staff. Cammie leaving. She has caused the hell. What are we gonna do? She's done this. This is Cammie and Corey at their best. Now I can't get the teachers to do nothing, so what y'all gonna do? You elected by the people for the people. When will the students have a voice? Do you need Mrs. Francois to come here and speak to you? Who lost her son at Barringer? 45 minutes for the ambulance to get there? On top of insult? The boy's intestines spilled out on Park Avenue? Do you need her to come here before you take action? Are you ready for that to happen again? Because it's already gonna happen. You don't even know the incidents because they don't report them. You don't even know. I done told y'all. Every time I call you, well, Miss Jackson, how you know? Damn it, I'm standing right here. It's a fight. I'm here. Hello? I don't need the proof. I'm telling you the proof. I got a scanner. I'm calling you. Cars and back up to Westside. Cars and back up to Shabazz. Not as much this year, thank God. Cars and back up to Weekway. What you gonna do? We have got to do something. I want to know what y'all gonna do. Cammie getting ready to walk away. She in D.C. tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
She's gonna be in D.C. next week. What are y'all gonna do? She caused this hell.
Thank you,
It's
Ms.
gonna
Jackson.
fall on you. You're
Thank
more than
you.
welcome. I want to know what you're gonna do.
Next speaker, Vanessa Roper. Next speaker, Maureen Robinson.
Good evening, Maureen Robinson, 428 Doyle Street, Elizabeth, New Jersey. Special education teacher, Newark School District. I want to share with you, teachers continue to be mistreated and abused. To retaliate against an inclusion teacher, 5 of the most notorious, rude, disrespectful, disruptive, acting out 10th grade female students in an 8th and 9th period chemistry class at University High School covertly fabricated and devised a scheme to have the teacher removed from the classroom because one of them got suspended for cursing at her. On several occasions, the inclusion teacher observed 2 female students engaged in close encounters demonstrative of explicit, inappropriate sexual behavior in an academic environment. The inclusion teacher spoke to each of them privately outside of the room and informed them that if the behavior did not stop, she was going to call their parents. One agreed to separate their seating arrangement, and the other begged the teacher not to call her mother because her mother did not know that she was gay. Each promised to stop the behavior. Another one of the 5 set up a beauty shop in front of the classroom and started working on a student's braids instead of doing their assignments. When the inclusion teacher confronted her, she defiantly set up shop in the far side of the classroom and continued doing hair. When the inclusion teacher informed her that she was going to call her mother, she stormed out of the classroom without a pass and threatened to tell the principal on the teacher. However, the principal was absent on that day, so she walked the halls until she located the female vice principal, who in turn instructed the student to wait for her in her office. On the following day, the 5 students went to the chairperson of the science department with their fabricated scheme and lied on the teacher. Instead of attempting to resolve the problem, the department chairperson sent the 5 students to the principal, who was in the next day. The principal had the students to sign complaints against the inclusion teacher, and based on the fabric lies of the students, the principal removed the inclusion teacher from all assigned classrooms without due process or just cause, and without allowing her an opportunity to tell her side of the story before he made his decision to commit her to what she considers a dungeon in the basement of the building, a room approximately 33.5 by 33.5 feet in size, no heat, and when the door is closed, there is no ventilation. The room is commonly referred to as a timeout room. One of the students admitted that she wrote the complaint because the inclusion teacher was always in their business. Needless to say, the inclusion teacher has requested a transfer from University High School, the magnet school. The students there are no different than they are any other school. They curse at teachers, they run the corridors, they fight, they steal, and some of them are extremely disruptive in the classroom. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Mr. Roper? Okay, Mr. Roper, I had already called your name, but you're welcome to come speak next.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here today just to raise some concerns in regards to the Common Core curriculum. We have a report card day coming up, and I went through some things myself as far as the proficiency level that the teachers are supposed to be grading our children. And I'm going to say this. Last year, I had to ask academic services to come into my school, Alexander Street School, because we had teachers that didn't understand grading policies. Now, if they didn't understand grading policies last year, how are they going to understand grading policies this year? Now we're asking them to do other things, to grade differently, using Power School, or sometimes as I call it, Powerfuls. And the teachers never learned how to even use PowerSchool. As a matter of fact, I would say most of them are illiterate. So we need, well, I know there's been some talk, and I know community relations did some presentations of the new Common Core. But I think that you're going to have some problems on report card day, so we're asking for some regional or whatever you guys want to call some networking, doing your networks here, to get out here to the parents to show them what this stuff means. And we want the Common Core, we want folks to teach, we want people to show the parents and your staff how to make common sense out of the Common Core using common language. I don't want to hear about what you're supposed to be doing or how we're supposed to be adjusting this and that. No, this stuff has to make sense. Now, you're in the Common Core, it's talking that each local school or some of the local schools can use it effectively and create their own standards. So you may go from school to school and you have principals using it different ways. So we need some guidance from the district to make sure that parents are getting the right answers, so let's have a meeting. And so I'm asking if you guys check your emails tonight. I've asked academic services along with Superintendent Anderson, along with community relations, come to the West Ward, any other ward, and pull some parents together and show us how to effectively know that our teachers are grading our children correctly. My second thing is the supplemental educational services. Cut. Now, last year, my daughter had a dysfunctional year at Alexander Street School. Still, she was a good student. Now, the program that was supposed to help her because she was in a failing school no longer exists because it's been cut. For what reason, I don't know. But I'm saying this, and I'm saying it clear. We had parent liaisons and principals telling parents to use providers that were in the building, and then turned around and hired the teachers. Put me back on. I'm not finished yet. My time is not up. You have parent liaisons and principals plotting with providers to tell the parents to choose the providers in the school instead of homeschooling. Why would I want my child in that environment? If you fail the kids in the morning, how are you going to effectively move me conducively in the afternoon? So you have a common mess. And so instead of firing the liaisons and the principals who did this travesty, you cut the whole program. It's common nonsense. And I'm saying this in regards to PTA, and I'm wrapping it up, you guys, and I'm going to finish. I will not support the principal at Alexander Street School if she's going to disrespect parents. And I'm telling you that now. And we have the same PTA fraud that we had last year, the teacher and the principal working with the same people who stole money for the last 12 years. If you're going to send me a principal, you guys better get it right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roper.
Anytime. I'll be back next month.
Next speaker. Next speaker, Wafia Mohammed.
Greetings of peace, Wafia Muhammad, 273 Parsonage Road, Edison, New Jersey. I'd like to read an excerpt from a letter that I sent to the advisory board and Cammie Anderson regarding adjusting the Newark Public Schools calendar to reflect Islamic holidays. I am humbly requesting an amendment to the 2012-2013 and beyond school calendar to reflect the observance of two Islamic holidays, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Eid al-Fitr marks the end of Ramadan, which is a month of fasting, and Eid al-Adha honors Prophet Abraham. During the next 5 years, Eid al-Fitr falls during the summer months. However, Eid al-Adha falls on the approximate dates below, and I give a 5-year calendar showing that the Newark Public Schools could possibly adjust 3 of those days to accommodate. Newark has a sizable Muslim population and presence with over 15 mosques, several schools, and over 30 businesses/institutions. Presently, students and staff miss days in order to observe the Eids. Students are often torn between missing vital instruction and celebrating their holiday. As a result of Newark's demographics, it would be ideal for the district to close for the Eids. In New Jersey, approximately 10 school districts close. Those being Jersey City, Irvington, Patterson, Hillside, Cliffside Park, Plainfield, South Brunswick, etc. According to Diane Macedo from FoxNews.com, and I quote, "Some school districts are making the accommodations due to functional issues associated with holding school, tests, or events on days when a substantial number of students and faculty will be absent. Others have decided that they simply want to be inclusive of their Muslim community, no matter what the size." Thank you. I have two questions. The first being, who are the decision makers as it relates to the school calendar?
If you could please just finish speaking, actually what the process is, and I can just take a second and say to you now that I did respond to your email today. I cannot answer your questions now, but if you stay at the end of the meeting, I would be happy to have a further conversation.
Thank
with
you
you.
so much. And I did want to thank you for expeditiously responding to the email. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Our last speaker has actually, since your name is on the list, I will call it, although you did indicate that you weren't speaking, but because your name is on the list, I'll give you the opportunity. Cesar Viscano, did you want to speak? Okay, I know you had indicated you didn't, but I just wanted to be sure. And thank you. That ends our public speaking for this evening.